I'm excited to see how this looks. Today we're going to put on the last step of the Motobilt build on my 2024 Jeep Wrangler Rubicon 392 front and rear bumpers. Oh my god. This is really bad. What's going on, guys, and welcome back to the channel. Today we've got two bumpers to install and a front skid plate. The first one up to bat may look like a front bumper because it's not as wide as a typical rear bumper, but this is Motobilt's rear micro bumper. Now this is going to fit your JL and four-door Wrangler like I've got behind me, and I wanted to go with the micro to not only save some weight in the back, but because we also went with the lower corner armor. Now what's nice about this is that this rear bumper is going to mount pretty close to this side, so this is kind of like the edge of the frame rail right here. Now when you end it at the edge of the frame rail, you've got a lot of real estate underneath here to really get banged up. So we went with the rear corner armor. We already pre-installed it. It's not too hard, a couple bolts to drill into your tub and then put some rib nuts in the center there. But on to what we're installing first, the rear micro bumper. It does come in raw steel. We had it powder coated and finished up. A couple other bits do come with it, including your rear lower bolt kit. So this is going to be for your passenger side because you do not have two lower nuts that are into the frame. And then in my case, we're going to be using the rear parking sensor pieces. So on Ryan's bumper, he had the filler panels that actually go in there, but this will retain the factory rear parking sensor, so pretty cool. And then we do get 8 of the brand new bolts to install in there, 10.9 bolts. But overall, pretty simple on the rear. I wanted to focus a little bit more on this because my front bumper is very similar to what Ryan has on his, but the rear is all different. So let's get it installed. All right, guys, so we're ready to put the bumper on. We want to slide this plate into the rear of the passenger side, just like so. You can see on the back end, we've got the harness installed for my rear backup sensors. So all you've got to do is basically connect these with an included Allen key. Now what we're also doing is we're going to leave this one disconnected so we can plug it in and then run this through just like so. So we're actually going to leave it disconnected and kind of let the harness just dangle for right now as we install it onto the Jeep, and then hopefully we'll be able to just fish that through nicely. Now I use a different mixture of actually the stock and the bolts that are included. Now you can see this one's like already all marred up and pretty rusted, so I'm definitely not going to use that one. I'll probably use all the brand new bolts, throw a little anti-seize on them and get them tightened up. The rear is super simple, so what we're going to do is we're just going to tuck this harness right like so. I'm going to walk around to the front of this bumper, pick it up, and throw it on. Let's throw it on. I'm excited to see how this looks. Nice thing is the hitch kind of holds it up. That's pretty much what it's going to look like right there. Minus the dangly harnesses. Yeah, that's pretty neat, but you can see why I need the corner armor now. Yeah. That's looking good. Looking real good. All right, guys, so these are the bolts that we're installing that's included with the Motobilt. You can see they're the same thread pitch as the OEM bolts. However, with a lot of the OEM bolts, you get something like this, where you can actually see all the threads are all jammed and marred up in there. And this is a brand new Jeep that's never really been messed with. So we definitely want to use some new bolts when it comes down to it. And then I also like to put just a little bit of anti-seize on them too. So we're going to put a little bit of anti-seize and install all of them. The only one with the nut plate is this one on the passenger side, which you want to make sure that the threads are cleaned out before you put it on. I got the one started, luckily, but I didn't clean out the threads because sometimes the powder coat can overspray into there a little bit. So you'll definitely want to check that out, but I like to put a little anti-seize when I have all the bolts out. Sturdy 3/16 plate steel, powder coated, D-ring mounts. Works with the factory hitch. My parking sensors went in. Look at that. Got the Micro Series bumper, the corner armor, the tailgate. This thing's really shaping up to be a purdy Jeep. No, guys, seriously, this is a really, really awesome looking bumper. The install on this one is like, what, 10 minutes? It's longer if you have the parking sensors because you have to get the harness moved around, but Ryan's didn't, so you just put the block off plates. Really, really slick. Works with the tailgate nice. This will fold down. Yeah, I mean, you get a lot more clearance out of this too. I had the stock steel bumper on here, and I swear to you, it stuck out like 7 or 8 inches. It was really, really far out of the cab. That looks fantastic. I was kind of in between which one I wanted to go because I've always run the Motobilt rear crusher bumper, the one that you have. I've run this one at the crushers, all of them. This one looks really good on here, so really excited to see how it turned out. I have to throw some D-rings in there, but even the hitch sticks out a little bit better. So yeah, super clean. We're gonna go to the front and get that one installed too. What do you say? All right, so we gotta do a little pre-assembly here on the ground. We're loosely getting the winch plate lined up. This is the exact same front bumper that Ryan went with. Mine just does not have a tube because I don't like need to prove anything else with my Jeep. So, but anyways, we just got to do a little assembly on the floor. There's no real like fancy way for me to sit up on the table and try and do this fancy in front of you. I'm loosely gonna get these bolted together, and then we have to put 2 brackets on the frame rail, so that way we can get this started to line up, and then we'll drop our factory worn winch that came on my Jeep in it. So that should go in pretty smoothly. I've already got some Dynamics lights bolted into the front, so that'll be kind of nice on there. So we've got the winch up here on our fancy homebrew winch plate. See that? Nice piece of wood trim. What we've got to do is get the bungee cord just let loose. What we've got to do is get these brackets. Just going to sit on there, and this is what's actually going to hold the winch plate. You have to put a nut tab in through the frame, and that's going to go on the back side of these lower 2, and the top one is going to get a factory bolt. Put the top one in, just like 2 or 3 threads so it holds it, and then grab 2 of our 5/16 by 18 bolts and put it through the frame rail into our threads. But I'm going to double check my threads to make sure they're not too bad. Alright, then we've got those brackets that we just installed. What we're going to do is get a bolt and washer to go downwards on those. And then we're going to put washer and a nylock down below, and we're somehow going to do it all one-handed. So there we go. We got that one on. These still are loose up here, but we want to really get them dialed in first. Can you increase the sound of the chair? Dad's got his ARB 7000 camping chair. But we actually bought him Bantam like 10 years ago when we had no chairs. I'm just getting all the bolts started here, and then we'll take out my custom winch plate and put it on the real winch plate once we have everything where we need it to be. But just take your time. It's not that hard. Everything's pretty much 9/16 hardware. And yeah, pretty smooth so far. So we're going to reuse the worn Xeon 8S that came with the Jeep. Basically, I'm going to pick it up. Dad's going to pull that board out. We're going to set it right into place. I think I got to clip that bump. Yeah. Huh. It's about as easy as it gets. Oh, you got to be me. Oh my God. This is really bad. Probably the worst thing that could happen did. The actual mounting holes on the factory worn winch are more narrow than a standard winch plate. So I thought this drum looked more narrow. Now I'm realizing that it is more narrow. I thought the fairlead looked more narrow. I thought everything looked more narrow. So apparently Warn is specifically making these for the Jeep Wrangler winch, which is fantastic. So that means if you buy a Jeep with the factory worn like this, it's kind of set up just to run that hole. I mean, what I'll probably end up doing is I'll pull this off. I'll mark the holes where they need to go, and just drill it. But this really sucks. I was not thinking this was going to be an issue, but now it is, and we're here. So yeah, we got the winch mounted. Don't worry, Duro CRED. We don't know how to wheel, but we know how to wrench. So, alright, I also don't have a fairlead because just like the winch doesn't work on a standard mount, the fairlead doesn't work on anything else besides Jeep's Mopar exclusive, blah, blah, blah. What we're going to do is we're going to go ahead. I already made the custom wiring harness, just like we did on Ryan's. We're going to plug them into our Dynamics lights. Hopefully it plugs in. There we go. Plug that one in. There we go. Pull that harness back a little bit. And then we're going to get this bumper installed or something like that. Alright guys, so we did get the optional skid plate. It's a pretty heavy duty skid plate. I'm not going to lie to you. I might actually sit on the floor to install it. You just have to put one more bracket in. Grab me another bolt and washer like this out of that bag. And you got to put these 2 brackets down here and then just get these started up in. It's a little bit tricky one-handed. Put the bolt in your socket and use an extension. On today's viewer rig of the video, we're checking out Scott's beautiful Jeeps that he sent into us. Now, he sent us a viewer photo that was lucky enough to have two completely rare Jeeps in there. The first is he's got a pink Tuscadero 2021 or maybe a 2022 Rubicon 392 Extreme Recon, and then right next to it, he's got the 20th anniversary Rubicon 392 AV Level 2. He actually said the pink Jeep is his girlfriend's, and after she went on the pink Jeep tour in Sedona, Arizona, she said, I want a pink Jeep. Well, that's the perfect way to get it, and honestly, I love the plate on it too, the Happy Days. I'm a little bit younger to have seen that show, and so is Ryan when it was out new, but we do understand the reference and have seen it over the years. He said his wish is for Jeep to extend the 392 in Mojito Green. I absolutely hope that that comes out too. Scott, thank you guys so much for submitting these rigs all the way from out in Idaho, and we really appreciate it. If you guys want to have a chance at your Jeep being featured, be sure to hit us up through Instagram or send us an email. Well, guys, we just wrapped up the front and rear bumpers. Like I said, we had a little bit of an issue with the worn winch here. Just something you guys should know. If you bought a Jeep with the factory winch, you're probably going to have to do the same no matter what winch or aftermarket plate you go with. So just something to be aware of with this factory one. We drilled out some holes, got it to work, and these bumpers look absolutely fantastic, as does the rest of the Jeep. This kind of like ties it all in, and now at least allows me to drive the thing because my winch was just sitting up on a piece of wood on top. But overall, really happy with the front and rear bumpers. This one went on great. I even got the optional skid plate down below just because I do have the Rubicon sway bar, so I just wanted to protect that underneath, and it flows very nicely. Super happy with the color that I chose on the powder coat too. I think this accents the Jeep very well and just ties in right back through the fenders and then the sliders and the rest of the build. We're still waiting on the taillights to come in, and we're gonna button up a couple other things with this Jeep, and we'll do a full reveal and we'll take it out and really show you guys what this thing can do. We've got a couple more Motobilt parts actually still laying outside in the powder coat wrapping. We'll get those installed and we're gonna really see what this Jeep can do. This build is really turning out fun. I'm super excited, and a huge shout out to Motobilt for sending over everything. Now we're gonna close up because it's about 9 o'clock at night and we've had a long day working on this thing. But my name is Matt from Dirt Road CRED. Ryan's behind the camera, and we want you to get out there and earn yours.